Welcome to another episode of the Celibate Vegan Voices, the CVV Code. My name is Monique, and I'm here with my co-host, hostess with the mostest, Chastity
Chastity
White
White
Rose.
Rose.
Actually, she's a pink rose today, but I have the white in the back. Yep, I'm lying on my bed here. I mean, come on now, it's like there's so many online meetings going on, and sometimes I'll put the camera on, but sometimes I won't because I just don't feel like getting up. I mean, what's the difference? If you don't have to see it, if you can just like hear what somebody's saying, you might as well be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I would go into the other room, but I moved everything around and now the lighting is bad, so it's actually better in here. All right, so I wanted to have a brief show regarding the legal ways to remove 5G or not have it come into your neighborhood or commercial way at all. So I say commercial because just because like you're in a business doesn't mean that it should roll out, on a street full of businesses too, because it's going to hurt people who are working just as much as it's going to hurt people that are at home. Um, our last show we were talking about 5G, and we also a few shows before that, but I didn't have as clear a perspective on how to stop it as I do now. Well, let me just explain really quickly that as a celibate, as a vegan, you would think that government officials would love that, but they don't care. they don't they're not going to go out of their way just because of your values and your virtues. And I mean, it's better on the earth to be the way we are, right? Our carbon footprint is less. We're instilling less pain, right? And for the majority of us, we're healthier because we're not involved in things that could lower our immune system as animal products do. And as far as I'm concerned about how carnal relations does. I mean, we've talked so many times about the STDs one can get and other things that are involved with that, particularly women more than men. But anyway, and that's even in marriage because, we've talked before how there was a scientist in Colorado. He went to South America and he came home with the Zika virus, had relations with his wife, and then she got it. So anyway, um, I had government officials call me back and, they said, well, we'll look into it. And when push came to shove, they got back to me to a certain point, and then they didn't get back to me. I don't know what's taking so long with this one tower that I'm upset that erected itself. See, it even sounds like sexual, erected itself.
Does
5G is bad. It's bad. Near a school and a church, and people's homes. I was told that they were going to get back to me on a certain day, and then they didn't. Okay, we'll see what happens. But I just don't understand what is taking so long. Like, the company either got a permit or they didn't. Or they either did things the right way or they didn't. What's taking so long? Like, why can't a government official just find that information out? And then another one said it wasn't in their jurisdiction. I said, well, it's coming to a neighborhood near you. So, now what I found out in, and then another one, the mayor's representative I won't name names, but this official said, "Oh, well, it's non-ionizing radiation." So, in other words, this person was claiming that it was safe because it's non-ionizing. So, for those of you who don't know what, I mean, as far as I know, the basic difference is non-ionizing means it doesn't get too hot, okay? Where ionizing, it does, thermal, like you have to protect yourself from a blast of heat. And just because it's not ionizing doesn't mean that microwave radiation isn't harmful. And she's totally been misled, or she's pulling the wool over people's eyes. And we know we don't like wool because it comes from a sheep. And when you shear sheeps, it's not good. Okay. Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in. That cliche. So I was on a workshop, thanks to an organization that is helping make 5G free. I mean, not free as in like you get it for free. I mean, like, just not have it. And there was an attorney that was talking on this workshop. He donated 3 hours of his time, going into the wee hours of the night, actually, because he's in New York, although he practices law in California too. And below, we're going to give you the link of a mini transcription of what he had to say. It's about 45 minutes long. So 3 hours to 45 minutes. That's pretty good. And it's voiced by a woman named Zen Honeycutt, and she's involved with Moms Across America. She had a petition going to Governor Newsom, who has made no mention yet of all the petitions he has gotten about this issue, not to roll 5G out in schools or near schools. And last week there was a news article saying that he's gotten so many petitions, he has yet to respond. So what does that say? Yeah, we don't have to say what that says. It says it. Silence speaks volumes. So anyway, listen to this, because she took great notes on what the attorney said. All right. Now, just because you listen to these notes, that doesn't mean that he's your attorney. So, no, because some people think that, oh, well, such and such said this, so now he's like my attorney. No, until you get, sign a contract with him, he's not your attorney. We got to put that out there legally, all right? But here is what he said. Andrew Campanelli is his name. And I would advise that you go on his website, and we'll put that here as well, the page that he actually explains how you can stop 5G from rolling out to your home like 10 feet away. All right. So first of all, LA City has this new ordinance that they don't need to tell residents if it's like coming outside their door. It's new. So I asked about that, and that is actually against our First Amendment rights, because if you're not notified that a radiation tower is coming outside of your home, then that's infringing upon your constitutional rights. So LA has it wrong, and it can be fought. Another thing is, if the public hearing wasn't made accessible to people, again, that's going against your First Amendment right. Now, I don't know if LA has to have a public hearing if they don't have to notify the residents, but whatever the case is, it's against that constitutional right, and that can be fought. Now, here's some other things that can be fought as well. Let's say that in your neighborhood, you do have to be notified, all right? You get the notification. Here's ways to dispute what they're doing. Number one, the cell phone company says that they need to put a tower up because there's a gap in coverage. Can they prove that there's a gap in coverage? Do they have a list of phone calls that have dropped? Campanelli said 98% of the time they can't prove that. They just say there's a gap, but there really isn't. And as far as I'm concerned, with the tower that I'm concerned about near the school and the church, it's like a major street in the neighborhood. There's always cars flying down. Personally, I can't see how there's a gap in coverage on that particular street that they put it on. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they committed fraud, or maybe there is a place somewhere on that base of the neighborhood that there is a gap. I don't know, but to me, it seems like there wouldn't be. Okay, it's not up in the mountains. It's not in a remote area. I could make a phone call in that area, so I think that they're frauds. Okay, so the second way that you could get them to take it down is if you get a radiation reading. Now, I'm thinking of getting, there's like a machine. Some of them are cheaper than others, and it can read the radiation rate, the ratings. If you find that the radiation level with what you are measuring it with is actually higher than the radiation level that the FCC approves, and the FCC is corrupt. We know that because they're allowing this with no research vested from themselves since 1996. But they at least have a legal limit, even though it's high. Well, apparently, Campanelli says 98% of the time, the cell phone companies are going above the legal limit of the FCC anyway. So that's a way to get a tower down. All right. So these are several ways of either getting towers down or not getting them rolled out at all. He said it's very difficult if you have had notification and one goes up. It's difficult to get down if they didn't commit fraud, that is. Because, again, these aren't supposed to go up unless there's a gap in coverage. That's what there's, there's a gap in, like, places that don't have Wi-Fi. And, I mean, to an extent, that's true if you're in a remote area. But if you're not, then what do you need it for? You're fine with, like, your 4G. And 4G isn't even, that healthy, but at least it's not microwave. It's not millimeter. Another way that you can get it removed or not come in is if you can prove that you are electromagnetic sensitive, electroradiomagnetic sensitive, which I might be, because I started developing, and I shouldn't even be doing this, but I have to hold the phone right now. I've gotten some eczema, the skin on my fingers are peeling a little, and I've gotten some red palms. It's weird. I even got a few rashes the other day, and I started thinking, oh my gosh, I hope it's not the coronavirus, because apparently people are getting some rashes. Well, I'll tell you what I did immediately. I put vitamin D, zinc, a little copper, and a little silver. I sprayed it. Just one squirt, and rubbed it. It went away immediately. It went away. What does that tell you? The natural ways to go. At least for me. I'm not a doctor, people. I am not a doctor. Okay.
No, you're better than
just
that.
Saying that. Thanks. It went away from me. That's all I can say. You can see in, what was it, the last show, I practically have a pocket. How do you say it? I'm not thinking right. how do you say it? Apothecary. You know, when you have like all these medicines. Yeah, thank you. Only it's with like, you know, natural. It's organic and liquid supplements. I invested in them, you know, one by one. They came in during this pandemic. I think the zinc and the vitamin D are the best. Vitamin D is like great. I get the kind I get is from My Kind, and I love it. Like, because last year I had my vitamin D levels were low, and after squirting that in my mouth for like a month and a half, I went back to see my vitamin D levels, and they were up again. So there you go, plant-based. Anyway, where was I? Yes, so if you can prove that you are sensitive, that you have a health condition because of radiation, that's another way for it not to come near your home because of the American Disabilities Act. So you're going to want to remember that. That's very, very important. So how can you prove that? Well, you start documenting like your normal routine, and then once you start getting like some sort of ailment like me, you know. Now I already told my doctor's office, and they haven't done anything because they're really not seeing people unless it's an emergency because of this whole like coronavirus. But I'm going to have to call them again and say, hey, look, because she didn't know what I was talking about at first. I said the electromagnetic frequency sensitivity. I hope I'm saying that right. She didn't know what I was talking about. But the attorney, Andrew Campanelli, said there's going to be many more lawyers that are going to be fighting in this area because of these towers. And doctors have to get on board. They have to know what's going on with their patients. They have to know that this is a real thing. And again, just like people have poo-pooed, people that are concerned about toxic vaccines and, you know, whatever else, you know, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. I've seen at least one article that says, oh, electromagnetic radio sensitivity, that's just made up to. No, it's not. I mean, people, first of all, it's not good for anyone, but there are certain people that are more sensitive to it than others.
Yeah.
You know, just like anything. Just like anything. Like some people are more sensitive to gluten. Some people are more sensitive to
Cigarettes.
peanuts. Yeah. So
Yeah, I happen to be highly sensitive to that. If I'm in a room with someone smoking, I start suffocating very quickly.
yeah. And you know my situation, my neighbor. Ugh, God.
Yeah.
Anyway. Unbelievable. Everybody should stop smoking during the coronavirus. Like, it should be a law. I just don't understand why they allow stupid fast food restaurants that'll kill you, like, open, and yet they allow smoke shops to be. I mean,
I know. See,
you know what I'm saying.
yeah, I totally get it. See, here's the problem: is the government deciding which is essential and what's not essential, and deciding that smoke shops and liquor stores are essential, but other things aren't. Like, I think we feel the same about that. Like, come on.
So, people might be able to see a string of lights in space. That's because Elon Musk is putting his satellites up for 5G. So it's happening during the pandemic. If people can't connect the dots, Chastity White Rose, I mean, they're not attuned. What can I say? So that's it. That's what I wanted to say. How you can legally stop things, all right? Don't run yourself in circles with these government officials, because one of the reasons that a lot of government officials are saying, well, it has to come in, is because they're afraid they're going to get sued, possibly, right? The telecommunication companies, they have trillions of dollars. but they can't get sued if the company is doing something the wrong way, and most of them are. And another thing is there's companies that are actually putting the towers up. They're like, they get money for putting these towers up. They kind of like lease it out to the general population, I guess, or whatnot. And Campanelli said that if one of like the top cell phone companies isn't putting it up, like if it's a company you've never heard about, then more than likely it's not a gap in coverage. Because if there's a gap in coverage, Verizon's going to come out, or AT&T is going to come out, and they're the ones that are going to put it up, not these little like subsidiary companies that just want to make money. So yeah, go to his website, look at what I'm talking about. You know, he lays it out concisely. I'm not saying for you not to speak out to your government leaders. I'm not saying that. If you can get any of them on board, great. I'm just saying don't spin your wheels, because I've spun my wheels for 3 weeks now and nothing's gotten done. Oh, another thing, in order to find out if 5G is coming to a street near you, you can actually Google the Freedom of Information Act or Public Records Request. The Freedom of Information Act is federal, and then the Public Records Request is local, which I've done, and it takes 10 days to get. So I've asked if there's any pending applications for Wi-Fi entities coming onto my street, because if there is, I want to be prepared, because it's harder to get it down, you know, once it's up, than just to stop it in its tracks. So that's what you have to do. You have to go to your official city website that allows you to type in your name and what you want, hit the send, and then you'll get that. That's very important too. Okay. And if one is up already and you want to know, well, how did it come up? I didn't know about this. The same thing. You could ask for all public records on that particular tower. And then you can look and see, like, was there gap in coverage? What are the radiation levels? They lie sometimes. Oh, and that's another thing. In order to prove that the radiation levels are higher than what the FCC sets a limit, Campanelli, he strongly suggested that you actually hire an engineer. Usually they cost about $400 to do the readings, because if it has to go to court, it's just more official that way if an engineer takes the recordings. So, you know, you might have to spend a little money, or you can get your neighbors to chip in, because it's going to affect them all. Or maybe you can do a GoFundMe page. And he said that it's not that much money to get something taken down if they weren't following the rules. So that is it. That's everything I remember. I strongly suggest you go on his page. I strongly suggest you listen to the 45-minute Legal Notes podcast by Zen. And now you know what to do. Yeah, because there is a reason for the expression, you can't fight City Hall. And I'm just really disappointed that some of these officials, these government officials that are supposed to be looking out for your well-being, don't really seem to be. Either that, or they don't know the subject very well, or they're, like I said, afraid of the telecommunication companies coming at them. But personally, I think a lot of them are taking money from them. That's what I think it's all about.
I think so too. Yeah, and here's the thing about it is what I wonder is there a way to make it not profitable for these people to be putting up all these 5G towers? That's the thing about it, because like the approach we have with veganism obviously is simply by not buying the animal products, that theoretically if enough people did that it would shut down. the meat and dairy and egg industries and all that. So that's our approach with veganism, which we know is actually working, just because they're still going afloat, but only because of government subsidies, which is a crime in and of itself, that they're stealing our money through taxation and then funding what we absolutely hate and arrange our whole lives to fight against. But the thing is there a way to theoretically bankrupt the people who are putting these 5G towers up? Is that even possible when they've got so much money?
No, I mean, not right now. Like, I mean, Bayer, who scooped up Monsanto, they have multi-million-dollar lawsuits and whatnot, but when are these multi-million-dollar lawsuits going to come out for radiation? I have no idea. And then, of course, you have to prove that it was because of that, too.
Right. See, not to be a downer, but I can already kind of see what's going to happen. People install these 5G towers, and the radiation kills people, therefore they can't sue. Even if they have money, they can't sue because they're dead. So that's the unfortunate reality of what will probably happen. Of course, if all the customers are dead, well, then that puts the telecommunications people out of business. Plus, the radiation will affect them too.
I know. I don't know. Maybe that's why some people want to go to Mars. But isn't there radiation on that planet too? You know what I think about? I think just what you said. Like, do people really want to live like this? Do you want to go into an underground bunker and live the rest of your life like that? I mean, I wouldn't. If I was like super rich and I was corrupt, and I thought, the heck with people, let them die, I'll be in the underground bunker. I wouldn't want to live like that. But by the way, speaking of people that I believe are corrupt, Bill Gates, he has an almost $700 million yacht. It's on my Facebook page. You can see a photo, or you can probably Google it. Him and his wife also just bought a $450 million home in San Diego, California. I haven't seen this man wear a mask yet, by the way. Doesn't that seem a little bit weird?
Yeah, it's awfully suspicious. But I mean, and you know what? I just can't understand that kind of money. Like, seriously, $1 million would be enough to pay my rent and bills every month and buy food for at least 100 years, if not more. That money wisely spent. Like, how do people spend millions and even billions of dollars? How do they do that?
He's invested in every disgusting thing that there is, He really has. And yeah. he's invested in this 5G too. He's heavily invested in pharmaceuticals. I even read he's invested in fast food places. So there you go. I mean, this guy's a joker. I can't believe that he came this far. And I mean, I never knew this about him. I really, really didn't. It just seems like all of a sudden, like, he has like the face of, an Illuminati person, if you catch my drift. The devil. I'm sorry. I don't want to judge people, I mean, God forbid that I'm like wrong, I don't want to like slander this, but I'm not, because like the facts are out there. He's invested in fast food. He's invested in pharmaceuticals. He's
well, okay. Let's
just. I mean, this is not healthy. This is not normal. This is like Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein.
I know.
To like, the exponential.
But see, here's the thing. Even if we give him the benefit of the doubt, either way, he's still like most people. They'll take whatever opportunity they can to make as much money as they possibly can. And but there comes a point where someone's just being greedy for no purpose. When you already have more than enough money to live on the rest of your life and give, there's no reason to keep investing, keep making more money. Like, that's pointless. I can't imagine that. Like what's he gonna do? Like, he's probably one of the richest people, if not the richest people on the planet. But what good is that gonna do him? there comes a point where you're going beyond what you need. It's just selfish. And he's not the only one, but there's they'll invest in anything that will make them more money. They don't consider the health of it.
No, they don't. And I saw a book in FedEx office one time. I think it was called Conscious Capitalism. That's what I try to do. But I would say that most people that are super rich, they don't follow that.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When you think about it, we realize that, for example, people make so money off of selling alcohol, cigarettes, guns, and not to mention the abortion industry, and Planned Parenthood and all that. I mean, I know more about that than other things. It's like people they'll lie, cheat, steal, or kill. They'll do anything when it involves money, and that's their main focus. And I think one thing that's important to know is that people would not be protesting against 5G unless they really believed it was actually harmful. That's the thing that's important, because other people who are not aware of that issue and haven't considered the harms of that kind of radiation, they're probably just going to go follow along. Oh, 5G overall make my internet faster, and which is kind of silly at this point, because let me tell you, I'm pretty sure I have 4G or whatever, and the internet runs absolutely fine. I'm getting pretty reliable. Plus, I have my computer plugged in directly to the modem, so that really helps.
Yeah, it's best not to have Wi-Fi at all. If you can just plug it into the cable, that would be your best bet, That's the safest, because otherwise you have radiation all around. And right now, I only have a cell phone. So when I'm using it, I have to have that. But I'd like to, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know where I'm going to be going. I don't know if I'm going to go back to where I come from, because things are different right now. And anyway, so I didn't know if I wanted to get the Ethernet installed, spend more money, but for health reasons I might. I hear you can plug your phone in that way, and I don't want to have any Wi-Fi if possible, except when I'm mobile. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, as far as schools are concerned, and any place really, if we can stop this 5G on a global level, then at least have it come in through a cable. Don't put an antenna on your home. God forbid if your neighbor has one. See, that's another thing. Some of these people, just like you said, they might not know they put it up on their roof, and then that's going to affect you. So that's why it's good to get the word out, because ignorant people, and I don't say that, I mean because they're not aware people, they could actually harm you not even knowing. So it's, there's a lot of city council meetings now that are online, and the public comment is usually 1-3 minutes, and you can sign up for it, and you can just say something, and then that goes out to 100 people or whoever. And I would advise everybody to do that. Again, don't spin your wheels, don't spend a lot of time with these people, because if you feel they're stonewalling you, don't do that. But if you say a comment, that goes out to everybody, and then hopefully you'll reach at least one person, if not more,
Yeah.
and have your facts. Talk about this, this Zen Honeycut, the notes, the podcast, the legal, find your scientific facts, and don't go on google.com for your scientific facts, because if you put 5G dangers, you won't find anything. Why? Because Google's involved too. Go to, we said on the other show, go to duckduckgo.com and it sounds like a funny name, but it's a search engine, and you'll find a lot more of what I'm talking about, because they don't have a vested interest like Google. So that's all I wanted to say. Again, being vegans, being celibate, we shouldn't have to be railroaded over. I mean, for how many years have we been? We've been made fun of because we want to protect our body. We've been told, oh, well, everybody eats meat, and that's just the way it is, you know? And no, it's
Yeah.
not rape if you have milk. It's
Yeah.
just the way it is.
And here's
We've
the
been
thing.
railroaded, and I'm tired of other people making these choices for us. So know legally your rights.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to say that, see, here's one fundamental flaw that I do see with all political systems. The problem is, if a government is supposedly needed in order to have law and order to keep people behaving right, the problem is if people are corrupt and they're the ones in the government, then it's a self-defeating thing. And unfortunately, I think these government officials, like, they'll say they'll look into something, they say they'll get back to you, but they're just lying. They're just lying to get you off the phone at the time being and get rid of you. Because that's what I think. I think people are dishonest. But I do hope that people listen to this and get something out of it, because you provide some information, and you can give me the links to include in the description of this, so people can look at these websites, listen to this stuff. So it could be good information in case people are brave enough to fight against these people doing this.
Yeah, or at least your little neck of the woods. And Andrew Campanelli said that there's been enough science that has been gathered, so he's looking to do something on a bigger level. And of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with the Children's Health Defense, they have a lawsuit against the FCC, and there's a petition against these satellites, See, it's a shame. Again, lawsuits, they take long. In the meantime, the satellites are being launched up into the sky. It looks pretty. It looks pretty. But it's not going to feel pretty. I wanted to tell you one more thing. Yeah, look into the organization too, 5gfreecalifornia.org. It's not just California, though. I mean, it's like people internationally now are coming to this site. And I'll give you another link. There was a global 5G I do not consent event on April the 25th. Wow, some of the people from other countries so smart about this 5G. So smart. I think that they're just more learned a lot of times than the United States people. Yeah, it's a shame. But anyway, you can see me for 3 seconds saying I do not consent. I am in the bottom left-hand corner, and you'll see my blue wall that I'm usually in back of. I think I wanted to say one more thing. Hi to Apple. She always thanks us. So hi,
Yeah.
Apple. Organic Apple. And just want to make sure that there's nothing else with this. Well, as far as I know, Campanelli charges a few $100s per hour if he's actually going to represent you. So if you're a neighborhood that's really concerned about this and you've done what you can do, then I would suggest hiring someone with a specialty like him. Because again, you just don't want to dance with these government officials that are saying, oh, it's fine, and you never hear from them, and then statute of limitations goes away and you're stuck with this tower. And 6G is coming out too. I just found that 6G is coming out. I mean, that's even worse. Yeah. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I read an article where it's possible we might get $2,000 a month from federal help, but what's the price? Does that mean we're going to have to be tracked and force a vaccine? I won't take $2,000 a month if that's what it means. If it doesn't mean that, I'll take it. I need help too, not just these gosh darn oil companies.
Oh, yeah.
Well, with that, I wish you many blessings. Keep your health up, you know. I'm not saying that there's no coronavirus out there, but it could definitely be worse if you're not taking care of yourself. And again, Dr. Rashid Buttar, he thinks that this social distancing is to actually get people comfortable because it's easier to track that way. He said you have to be around 5 feet apart from someone with a tracking device for you to be like singled out. Okay, like that's the person. Otherwise, you're like a clump of people. He could be right. I mean, I like social distancing, you know, because I feel like safer that way. You like it too, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, are they doing it for the right reason? Are they? And I just kind of have to think that this is to an extent a hoax, because hospital footage in Italy was shown as hospital footage in New York. You know, I mean, what's that saying? What is that saying? Or I mean, unless they're lazy and they don't want to go into the other hospital, but that's fraudulent media.
Yeah. Well, we already knew for years the media was fraudulent. People are liars, so it doesn't surprise me.
Well, they're owned by big corporations. I never really realized that until this pandemic. But yeah. And the people that want to go protest in their cars and whatnot, you know, I get that. I get it. But then these are the same people that are upset about climate change. So who knows? Look, I mean, in some ways, this has been a blessing. Things have slowed down. I'm glad there is not a lot of businesses that are open in some ways. I don't want people to go bankrupt. But there are some businesses that, you know, probably do better without it. Unfortunately, the ones that are open, though, I mean, that's horrible, like we said. Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. Smoking and booze and fast food. I mean, maybe a little bit of wine is fine, you know, for health benefits or whatnot, but you can get that at a grocery store and get it organic, you know. It's just unbelievable. So it opens your eyes. If you're not connecting the dots, you just, I don't know, you haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't seen what I've watched. All right. I think that's it. But do things the legal way. I'm telling you, look into what this lawyer has to say. Oh, yes. So there's going to be more attorneys that are going to get into this because it's going to be a big thing. One gentleman, his name is Scott McCullough. He's working with the Children's Health Defense. And there's another few that are out there. I can't think of their names. On May the 7th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, if you get on the 5gfreecalifornia.org list, you'll get the information about the call. And you can hear from these lawyers, again, how to go about things. Because you don't want to spin your wheels. I mean, I was depleted of energy for 3 weeks. That's all I was doing, you know, and it's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to me. So do that. Get on the list and listen to what these people have to say. Listen to Zen's podcast, and now you know what to do. All right?
All right. Does that mean we're ready to say goodbye?
We're wrapping it up. Yes.
Okay.
Not goodbye, just bye-bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to see them again. Goodbye sounds too farewellish, like, you know. I want to see you guys again, okay? Oh gosh, that's another thing. The WHO, the World Health Organization, they said that they'll start studying the effects of 5G in 2022. Oh, thank you. After it's all up, right?
That's after the fact.
Thanks, Bill Gates. All right.
All right.
I am so upset that he has the same sun, moon, and ascendant sign as me. I hope that I will never get to the level of greed that he has. Although it would be fun to have a yacht, but I let everybody on. And the people that, deserve it, like you. All right. It would be a communal one. And we'd all be 6 feet apart. And none of us would have chips. All right. Bye, everyone. The Self and Vegan Voices CBV code.
Yeah.
Another episode coming at you.